Today, we're going to be discussing how the United States will survive a nuclear war if it happens. It's not a pleasant topic, but it's important to have a plan in place in case the worst happens. We'll be discussing some of the ways that the US government and its citizens could survive a nuclear attack.
Depicting a nuclear attack on the United States.
The Ukraine war going nuclear.
As Ukraine succeeds on the battlefield, Vladimir Putin is becoming embarrassed and pushed into a corner.
Russian President Vladimir Putin showed off what he said is an indefensible nuclear missile.
Japan reported a launch of a North Korean short-range ballistic missile off the east coast on Saturday.
North Korea launched 2 more nuclear-capable missiles.
But do you believe that China is preparing for war?
Yes, listen.
Russia would use depleted uranium weapons on the battlefield.
Is considering using chemical or tactical nuclear weapons.
He's violating treaties by developing destabilizing weapons systems.
Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to be discussing a very serious topic, nuclear war. It's a topic that many people don't like to think about, but it's important to be prepared. First, let's talk about what a nuclear war is. A nuclear war is a conflict in which nuclear weapons are used. The destructive power of these weapons is immense and can cause massive destruction, death, and radiation exposure. Now, let's get into the main topic, how the United States will survive a nuclear war if it happens. The first thing to note is that the US has been preparing for the possibility of a nuclear war for decades. The government has contingency plans in place, including the Continuity of Government Plan, which outlines procedures for keeping the government functioning in the event of a catastrophic event like a nuclear war. In addition, the US has a network of underground bunkers and shelters that can protect key government officials and military personnel. These shelters are designed to withstand a nuclear blast and the resulting radiation exposure. We have divided the video in 4 parts. You can directly skip to the desired part, but I will recommend to watch full video because everyone should know about this. Part 1, Understanding the threat. Firstly, it's essential to understand the threat that a nuclear war poses. If a nuclear war were to happen, the United States would likely be hit with multiple nuclear weapons. This would cause catastrophic damage and loss of life, with entire cities being wiped off the map. The effects of a nuclear explosion include a blast wave, radiation, and a firestorm that could spread for miles. These effects would be devastating and long-lasting. The US also has a missile defense system in place that can intercept and destroy incoming missiles. While this system is not foolproof, it can help to mitigate the damage caused by a nuclear attack. Part 2, The government's plan. First, it's important to note that the US government has plans in place for such an eventuality. The government has what's called the National Response Framework, which outlines the actions and responsibilities of federal, state, and local governments in responding to a disaster, including a nuclear attack. In addition, the government has established the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, which would be responsible for coordinating the response to a nuclear attack. The US has also been working to prevent nuclear war from happening in the first place. The US government has been engaging in diplomatic efforts to reduce tensions with other nuclear powers, such as Russia and China. The US has also been working to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons to other countries. The US has signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which aims to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and promote disarmament. The US government has a plan in place to try and minimize the effects of a nuclear attack. This plan involves several different aspects, including missile defense, evacuation, and shelter. The government has invested billions of dollars into developing missile defense systems that can detect and intercept incoming missiles. These systems are not foolproof, but they can increase the chances of survival. In the event of a nuclear attack, the government would also evacuate as many people as possible from affected areas. This would involve moving people to areas that are less likely to be hit by a nuclear weapon. The government has plans in place to move people to designated shelters, such as underground bunkers. One of the first steps the government would take in the event of a nuclear attack is to activate the Emergency Alert System, EAS, which is a national warning system designed to transmit emergency alerts to the public via radio, television, and other means. This would provide critical information to citizens on what to do in the event of a nuclear attack. Another critical step the government would take is to activate the Continuity of Government (COG) plan, which is designed to ensure that the government can continue to function in the event of a catastrophic event, such as a nuclear attack. This plan includes provisions for relocating the president and other key government officials to secure locations, as well as for ensuring that essential government functions, such as national security and continuity of operations, continue to operate. Part 3: Citizen Preparedness. What about the general public? How can they survive a nuclear war? The US government has been educating the public about nuclear war and how to protect themselves in the event of an attack. They recommend taking shelter in a basement or underground structure, as this can offer protection from the initial blast and radiation exposure. While the government has plans in place to try and minimize the effects of a nuclear attack, it's also important for citizens to be prepared. This means having a plan in place for what to do in the event of an attack. Citizens should be aware of the locations of nuclear shelters in their area, as well as the best routes to take to get there. They should also have a stockpile of food, water, and other supplies to last them several weeks. The first and most important step is to be prepared. It's also important to have a plan in place for where to go and what to do in the event of a nuclear attack. This might include identifying a shelter, such as a basement or other reinforced structure, and knowing the signs of radiation sickness. In addition to being prepared, it's important to stay informed. In the event of a nuclear attack, information will be critical to survival. This means staying tuned to the emergency alert system and other sources of information, such as local news and social media. Another important factor in surviving a nuclear attack is understanding the effects of radiation. The government has established what's called the Protective Action Guide, PAG, which provides guidance on how to protect oneself from radiation exposure. This might include staying indoors, sealing windows and doors, and using a radio or television to stay informed about the situation. Finally, it's important to remember that surviving a nuclear attack requires not just individual action, but collective action as well. This means working together with others in your community to ensure that everyone is safe and cared for. This might include helping neighbors who are elderly or disabled, or volunteering to assist in the response effort. Part 4: Rebuilding after the attack. If a nuclear attack were to happen, the United States would face a long and difficult road to recovery. Entire cities would need to be rebuilt, and the effects of radiation would last for decades. However, it's important to remember that the United States has faced challenges before and has always emerged stronger. The government would need to work closely with citizens and the international community to rebuild and ensure the survival of the country. Of course, there is no guarantee that the US will survive a nuclear war if it happens. The destructive power of nuclear weapons is immense, and the consequences of a nuclear war would be catastrophic. However, by taking steps to prepare and prevent nuclear war, the US can increase its chances of survival. While the thought of a nuclear war is terrifying, the government has plans in place to try and minimize the effects of an attack, and citizens can also take steps to be prepared. If the worst were to happen, the road to recovery would be long and difficult, but the United States has faced challenges before and has always emerged stronger in the event of an attack. While the idea of a nuclear attack is a frightening one, it's important to remember that the US government and citizens are prepared to respond in the event of such a catastrophic event. By being prepared, staying informed, understanding the effects of radiation, and working together, we can increase our chances of surviving a nuclear attack and rebuilding our communities in its aftermath. Thanks for watching our video till end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your friends. And if you want to see more awesome content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. And remember, your engagement matters. Liking, sharing, and subscribing really makes a difference. So hit those buttons now.